rightly said, it is more than just an airline tragedy. This questions the systems, it questions the way in which investigations are done, and importantly, it questions dignity of life and even death. Joining us next is Pranav Sachdeva. He's a lawyer representing the family in court. Pranav, lots of questions arise from here, but I want to start with first sort of just getting your idea about what is it that Mr. Sabharwal is looking for at this point. Are we talking about just the reporting of sort of not conclusive findings? Is that the only plea? Or are we also looking and questioning the whole system where how can DGCI really sort of investigate their own people if that's at fault at all? What is your case?
Yes. So basically, just to clarify, we are not lawyers for the family of the pilot. This was a petition by an independent organization which works on the aviation safety, and they have filed a petition seeking a court-monitored investigation, saying that by just blaming it on pilot error, you don't solve any safety issues. You don't check the aircraft. You don't check whether the aircraft was airworthy or the manufacturer's practices or the operator handling of the issue. You just close the complete case by saying it's a pilot error, so nothing needs to be done. So therefore, we have sought a court-monitored probe, and we have also said that you have yourself breached the confidentiality. You are stating in one line by just paraphrasing these cockpit conversation. Why not release the timestamps, and why not release the actual conversation? And what about the raw flight data? Why not release it for public domain? So because in Mangalore crash, there was a formal inquiry, a proper court of inquiry. So why not go for that? You are doing a closed door under the Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau, and most of the people are appointed by the DGCA. The sitting DGCA officers are part of the AAIB probe, and US is being involved, which obviously has commercial interest because the flight manufacturer belongs to that country. So we need a impartial probe, and now 100 days have passed. There is no timeline. When will the final report come? The preliminary report gives no facts, makes no safety recommendation. There is no recommendation you do this check, that check, etc. So nobody is any wiser after 100 days. So that's why the court has said we need an expeditious and independent probe.
Could you explain, Pranav, in detail and perhaps in simplicity for our audience on why you think DGCA is not an impartial body to investigate this matter?
See, as a regulator, all planes and all operators, everything has to go through regulatory check. There are systems in place. So whether there was a systemic failure is also can be called a regulatory failure at some level. That needs to be investigated. So if you have sitting DGCA officers, it may not be the proper way to do it. That is why international conventions also say that the investigation agency has to be a completely independent body. Our own law also provides it to be an independent body. So if that same body inducts the officers of the DGCA, it creates a problem. Plus, if you have US involvement so heavily, and these Wall Street Journal, etc., leaking that the investigation is focusing on the pilot actions. So therefore, then there is also an element of it does not look fair because there are huge commercial stakes, especially of the manufacturer involved. Their whole internationally the stakes are high for them. So
Boeing in this case,
absolutely. So that is why we need a investigation which will inspire confidence, because it's about hundreds of victims and also of citizens who travel daily. So if the report does not make any safety recommendation, so we are not any wiser. We are not any safer today as we were there. I have not seen any safety recommendations that you do these 20 checks. Maybe they were missed earlier. So, and the final report, there is no timeline.
We haven't seen any recommendations, but we have seen a lot of flights taking a U-turn. We've seen a lot of pilots now saying, I will not operate under these circumstances. We've reported several of these cases where pilots on a slight miss, which they would earlier ignore, now don't do it anymore. So the pilot community seems to be very proactive, but you're right, we haven't heard it. I want to understand another thing, Pranav. Is it generally the case that it takes more than 100 days for even the black box details to be put out?
No, it should not. They
And
should have immediately put it out.
shouldn't this have been the first thing that was done in this case?
Absolutely. See, once you make it public, there are a lot of independent experts and pilots and retired DGC officers, other experts who can analyze the data and who can maybe depose before your expert body and your investigators. They can say, I have some expertise. I will depose before you. What is the harm in raw flight data? So if you keep it secret and then say that, please just trust us. Nobody else. We will. The final report
But
will
actually,
come.
it's not
We don't
secret.
know.
It's selective leaking that's
Correct.
happening. There is
So,
no. So where are we at? Just to sort of conclude this, we
yes.
don't know what happened. We
Yeah.
only know that partly the pilot might have been involved, and there are again leaks of his past history, etc. We don't know what the black box says, and we haven't heard of any corrective measures being done. And this applies to
Yes.
DGCA. It applies to Boeing as well. Would that
Yes.
be a fair analysis?
Correct. So basically, the plane was suffering from other electrical failures. That report does discount. Was reading news reports that the same plane flew from the previous leg. And in the previous leg flight journey, there were passengers who were complaining of electrical problems, AC problems, etc. So all that needs to be seen, whether it was electrical failure. So just by insinuating a pilot error in one sentence, without even quoting the conversation, without giving any timestamp, without doing any factual analysis, you are treating virtually internationally and in India as a closed chapter. That now nothing needs to be done. This was a
And
one-off
Pranav,
pilot
last thing I
action.
want to understand, the decision on whether or not DGCA investigates this matter further or an independent body is formed is currently sitting with the government of India. The court has asked the government of India now to take a call.
The government has taken a call that this AAIB is going to complete the investigation. So we want at least the court to monitor it, appoint some experts, or order a formal inquiry, which they have. The government of India has all the power to do it. If you don't initiate a formal court of inquiry and open, you will not. If you don't do it in such a catastrophic accident, then you will do it in which case? Then why is that rule for? That provision is for specifically for such cases
Got it.
where this kind, and so that is why Supreme Court's intervention today is a very helpful intervention, so that there has to be some accountability.
Right.
And
All
these
right.
issues will come in public domain.
These answers need to clearly come out in public domain, and these questions, like
Absolutely.
I said, go far beyond the single crash. They also touch upon the systemic gaps in accountability, empathy, and also the truth in aviation ecosystem and also public discourse. Thanks so much, Pranav, for joining us
Thank you.
and making all those very important points.